Welcome to the Outdoor Adventures. We are overlooking this memorial right here of Terry Fox, and I got my big camera out here right now looking at a very narrow strip of concrete to try and stand on top of, and I'm overlooking that beautiful sunrise over there. You guys see that? That is going to look amazing. As you guys can see, I got it at 1/25th of a second at f8. I got it on let me see if I can walk around to this side. I got this on stabilizer off, because if you have it on a tripod you don't want that off. I got it on manual focus, and then that is just like stabilizer mode. Let me jump over to this side here, and I'm going to quickly try and get a few more shots. And let me turn that screen back on, and I got a 10-second timer on it. Let me see if we'll focus on it. There we go. So when I press the shutter, it will count down from 1 to 10, right? You see that timer right there? You see my histogram? That looks pretty good. I think that looks fantastic. What do you guys think? 1/25th of a second is a bit low for a long lens like that, a 100 to 400, as you guys can see right there. But what I'm trying to do is get the glare off of the lake over there as the sun is rising over that hill. And positioning is everything too, right? And for this one, I actually do need the super long telephoto for some of the shots. Let me make this a little bit brighter here. As you guys can see right there, I got the bush, right? And I don't really want the bush to be in there too much. I might do a few shots just to kind of test it to see what that will look like. I might just do one shot right now, as you guys might be able to see, but that looks absolutely fantastic. I love beautiful sunrises like that. There we go. We just got that shot. Let me zoom in a little bit more on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the shutter speed a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is hit the focus thing right there, and I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. Oh, that is that is a little bit too much. Let me go up on there. I want to make sure it's nice and focused, but let me actually turn on the stabilizer there. Maybe that will let me get it into focus a little bit easier. There we go. Right there is the focus. Now I want to turn off the stabilizer because I don't want to have that in the shot, right? So let me see. If you're looking at this bar right here, you can see it's overexposed. So what I do is I line it up into the center. Oh my goodness, look at that shot. I'm gonna grab a shot right there. That looks amazing. What do you guys think? Oh my goodness, I know it's a long distance away. Right there we got the shot. Oh my goodness, that looks amazing. All right guys, I've been saying to you guys for a while that I'm going to show you how I edit my pictures, and of course I am using Adobe Lightroom Classic. And so here it is. I know it's a paid subscription that you will have to get if you want to use this particular program. I know there is different options out there that you can use, but I like using this program. So this is how we're going to do this. We click on File, Import, and this is basically going to be a beginner's tutorial, so you can select under which drive you have your files. I have my files in here right now, so I'm just going to hit Import. That's going to import all my pictures into my library here. And what I'm just going to do in the meanwhile, I'm just going to click right here on Developer, and it's going to load the pictures in the background anyways. And so anyways, these are all the pictures I have taken from the Terry Fox thing there, where we were stopped and we were looking at this beautiful sunrise there. So the first couple of pictures I took, it was kind of foggy, so I'm going to go through these here and just kind of look at them individually and see which ones I like, right? And we'll pick the one that we like, and we'll go ahead and edit that particular one. I did kind of look at these earlier already, so I kind of know roughly where I think I had found one. This one here looked really good. So as you guys can see, I haven't done any kind of editing to it. Nothing has been done to it. So what I'm usually liking to do is I usually like to click on here where it says Adobe Color. Then I would like to click on landscape, because this is kind of a landscape picture here. And then under white balance, I just if I click on auto, it doesn't really seem to be going very well with this. It makes it really super blue, and I don't know if I'll like that. I kind of found either daylight, or if I go under fluorescent or whatever you want to call it, it kind of brings it to that color that I kind of like. It kind of looks neat that way. I'm going to bring down the orange just a tad bit. And then what I do here in the toning, I click on auto, and that kind of brings it into a little bit of a color mapping that I like. And then I'll usually go ahead and bring up the contrast to about 20. I like to be around the 20 mark. And then I hold shift, double click on the white balance, double click on the blacks, and that will bring them down to as far as the program thinks it should go down to. Texture, I will go about 20. Clarity, I usually I don't know, I'm having some issues with my mouse here. Let me plug in my mouse on this other side here. It seems to be giving me some issues here, so maybe that will work better if I have it plugged in on this side here. There we go. So I usually go about 10 on clarity. And let me actually just show you what it does. It kind of makes it look that way if you go that way, right? So, and I think for this picture, I might actually go into the minus a little bit. Let me just do that. Same thing with the dehaze. If you look at that, it looks that way. It makes it look hazy. So if you wanted to make it look like you had like some sort of fog in it or whatever, you could make it look that way. But I'm going to go about plus 10. And then on the vibrance, I like it to be around 20. Same thing with the saturation. You guys see what that is starting to do? That's starting to make it really nice and orange. I kind of like that. And then under the curve toning here, sometimes this may not exactly be this way. I forget on how, oh yeah, I think it's right here. I think if you change it like that, it'll be under different. I like it under linear. And then I will usually go and click on that and go with minus 20, and then plus 20 on here, minus 20 on this one, and plus 20 on there. And as you guys can see, this is already starting to look really good. And on here, some people like to have it individually. I always click on all, so that way all of those options are available. And then I'll usually go down up to about here where it has the lens corrections, and I will go ahead and remove the I can never say it right, but anyways, I click on these two, and this will automatically select your lens that you're using, and it will correct for all of that. And then I will go under noise reductions, and I'll go usually about 29 or 30 in that area. And then I will probably go into some more advanced features. I know this is already pretty advanced, but let's say if you want any kind of particular color to pop a little bit more, you can either adjust them like this, or if you double click on something and you like, let's say if you made this too high, if you double click on the name, it will actually reset it back to default. But the way I like to do it is I like to click on this thing right here in the center. Then you can basically go onto the picture, and you guys can see what it's doing. If you look right over here, it will automatically select the color over whatever you are hovering over. Excuse me. So if I'm over here, this is a little bit into the red, and so all I got to do is click and drag up, and it will automatically raise that particular color. So if I want more red, I guess I can go into the minus a little bit. I don't want to go too extreme. You never want to go too extreme. And the yellows, I like to raise them a little bit. And so yeah, so you have different colors on here. So here is water in the down and the bottom here, and a little bit of ice as well. But anyways, I know some of these colors, they so you go through here. We got a little bit of purple and blues. Kind of want to raise those a little bit, and then that's on the hues. So I want to go on the saturation, and I want to go a little bit on that as well, a little bit on the yellow, and we had a little bit of purple and blue here. Let me just raise that as well. And then I do the same thing on luminance. So I'll go ahead and raise that just a tiny little bit so you guys can see what it's doing. I never want to go like too super crazy on those colors, right? But let's just go ahead and click on done. And let's just look at the before and after. You guys see what that looked like before? So you guys can see here on the top it says before and after. If you want to know how you do that, you click the Y button right here in the bottom. It will show you right here. If you click Y, it will do before and after. If you click the letter L, it will kind of make it darker, so you can kind of get a good view on what that looks like. There we go. Go back to that, and let me just go back up here and make this a little bit brighter. And you guys can see there's a little bit of a distraction right there. Now it was actually a branch from a tree there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to remove that. So you want to kind of zoom in on it. And then I use this tool right here. It says spot removal. So what I go ahead and do is I go and you can adjust the size by doing this right here. Or you can, there's a, I don't know what exactly what you call it on the keyboard here, but I usually use that. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right there, and then what it is doing, it's actually trying to sample from somewhere else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to use this section as a sample right there. Let's see if that's going to look any good. I might have to go up a little bit. And this is not really exactly doing the way I wanted it to do, but let me just undo that. And yeah, so it's not exactly taking it from where I wanted it to be taken. Let me see if we can find a better spot, or maybe we can just click on done. I'm just going to click on redo. Just going to click that a few times. There we go, that's back. I'm going to make this brush or this thing a little bit bigger and take a little bit of a bigger section of it. Right there it is. Let's see if we can't find a better section. I don't know why it's not doing a good job. There we go. Now we're talking. Now it's doing the thing that I wanted to do. So now it's been removed, so you can't even see it. That was kind of distracting there a little bit. Same thing with this right here. That's a power line that's actually distracting a little bit. And what you can also do is you can just click and drag, and it will kind of mark it. And then you can select a area that you would like to use for sampling. You see that? It selected this top section right here, and it's going to copy and paste it in there. So now you no longer see that in there. There's no distraction in there. That is one way I do that. And I'm going to show you guys this brush as well. If I click on this brush, I want to use the exposure, or actually, you know what, I like shadows. Right now I would like to raise the shadow a little bit. So I'm going to leave this at 25 right there for the shadows. And I'm going to raise the exposure just up to 20. And what I like to do is I'm going to see if I can make this section a little bit brighter. And so what I do is I click on one section, and then I just want to gently paint this in just to make this section a little bit brighter. I think it's a little bit dark right here. Just kind of paint this in a little bit, just like that. And if you're not happy with the way it looks, you can actually click that little arrow right here, and that will bring up the amount. Let's say if you're wanting the whole thing to raise the amount a little bit, just going to go to the extreme, and you can kind of see where I've painted. So there I missed a little bit of a section right there, so that gives you a pretty good idea on where I painted. And so if you missed a spot, it's a good way to kind of look at that in that way. And if you didn't want a particular section to be painted, you can actually hit Alt, and this will change to minus. You see how that changes? Right there, I kind of don't really want to paint too much right there. So I kind of want to kind of eliminate that section there a little bit. You see how that's eliminating it? And then I'm just going to lower the amount. I didn't want to be that crazy of an amount there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the color into the yellow a little bit, because what it was doing, it was making this a little bluish, and I didn't like that. So anyways, let's go ahead and click done on that. And let's say if we want this sky to be a little bit darker, you can actually use what's called a gradient filter. And what I'm going to do is click on that, of course, and I want to use this as exposure. And then double click on here, so all of these numbers are at 0. Then I come up here and I just click and drag. And I know my computer is a little bit slow right now. Anyways, I want to click and drag right up to there. And then what I want to show you guys is I want to lower the brightness on that. So what I would like to do, I know my computer is being a little bit slow, so I'm going to lower the brightness. You guys see how that's doing it? Also the exposure, I'm just going to lower that just a tiny little bit, because it was a little bit bright for my taste. And maybe add go a little bit minus on the black, and raise the clarity a little bit, and that will usually make it look good there, in my opinion. Reduce the noise a little bit. Here's another trick that you guys might not know. If you go into luminance right here, you guys can say which color, if you want white to be more affected or the darker section. So I'm just going to show you guys. Hopefully this will come up good. If it doesn't really show up too well, it's kind of because my computer might be a little slow. Let me just go with that. You guys see that? That was the light. If you go from this side that way, it will only affect the dark sides. If you go from this side, it will only affect the light side, right? So anyways, you guys can see the drift. You guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Anyways, I think this is looking pretty good, in my opinion. I think it's a good start to the picture. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's a little bit bright, so I'm going to lower the exposure just a tiny little bit. Maybe not quite that much, but anyways, you guys can really see what I can do with raw pictures. As you guys can see, this is the shutter speed I shot this at f8 ISO 100 at 227 millimeters. That's how far I was zoomed in. Now you can also use this radius filter, and what that can do is, for instance, I'm just going to give you guys an example here. For instance, you want the sun to be a little bit brighter, so that will make that whole center bright. If I go to extreme, you'll see what I'm talking about. I just want to make that just a tiny little bit brighter there, just to kind of mimic the sun a little bit.
and I like it to go across here a little bit because I want it to be oh, come on. Now it did something I didn't want to do. It's not really. My computer is having to work overtime. That's all I can say. I wanted it to be kind of like that. That's kind of like how I would like it to be, because that will kind of make it right here in the center here on the lake, make a nice little reflection. And then what I am going to do is click on luminance, and then I'm going to see if I do it this way here, it's only going to affect the bright areas of the colors, not the dark area. You see how that was kind of looking not so good when I had this all the way bright? You see how this kind of affected that part? I didn't like that. So I can actually lower that by just moving that. If you click in the center of this, it should show you where it's actually affected, but because it's already colored red, it's not going to show you too much. But anyways, I think that looks pretty good, and let me just show you a before and after. So that's what it looked like before, and that is what it is looking like right now. I know I did adjust quite a bit of coloring to it, but that's just the things that you guys can actually do. And let's go ahead and add a little bit of this vignetting. And what that does, it's kind of making the corners darker, just to go extreme to show you guys what that would look like. Because I want the whole thing to be in the center, right? That's the center of attention, right? So I don't want you guys to go to the corners too much and all that. So what I can do is I can even brighten up the corners, right? But I don't want to do that. I want the corners to be just ever so slightly reduced in the brightness. So the center of attention is here, right? Like I like this reflection from the sun and all that. So now all that's left to do is export this file. So I go up here, go under File, click Export. Now I can choose the folder where I would like to save this in. And so I'm going to just show you guys how I do this. So what I'm going to do, just for example like that. So now that's going to put my file into that particular folder. And then here you can actually rename your file if you like. I don't really want to do that at this point. And then some of these may not be open, so you might actually have to click the little arrow to make them open. Then you can choose what kind of format you want. And I want to export this as JPEGs, and I want the quality to be 100%, and I want the color space to be sRGB. You can click on different kind of color spectrum if you like, but I like the sRGBs. And then here under image resizing, basically you can actually make it to where it will automatically resize the picture to a different size. And this is how many pixels per square inch it's going to basically render the quality at. And you want to be at about 300 pixels per square inch if you want to print your picture. I like to have high quality, so I put mine at 600. And then here you can have selected all your metadata, and what that basically means is like data all like this, like how many seconds per what my shutter speed was at, the aperture, and all of that data will be input into that. And here you can put a watermark onto your picture. Let's say if you have a signature that you guys would like to have in there, then you can click on here and you can click on edit, and you guys can actually upload your own image. I already have done that, but I just want to show you guys an example on how I can go ahead and do that. You guys see I already have my signatures right here, black and white, and I'm not going to do that right now because I already got one in here. And anyways, so I have it right in here in the center. Let me just show you what that looks like because I already clicked on it. So it should be showing up right there. I know it's a little bit small, it's kind of hard to see, but once you export it, you will actually be able to see it. Let me just hit the export. And it may take a couple of minutes because my computer is really slow. It's not the fastest. It's working overtime right now. You guys can see my processor is pretty much being used 100% to try and export this this file. And I do have a 4-core 8 hyper-threading processor. It's an elderly computer, so it's not the fastest. But anyways, that just goes to show you how you can transform this image from this to this. And once it's exported here, I'm going to open it up and show you guys what it looks like. It should be coming into this particular folder right here. It will take a minute or two before it's finished exporting it. Once it's done, then we will show you guys, and I will go ahead and close off the show. There we go. Now it should be just about finished. There we go. There it is. It's finished exporting it, and that is what my finished product looks like. And you can kind of see the signature right in here. I know I kind of got it a little bit small, but I do that on purpose. I don't want it to be distracting from the main part of my image, right? But I really like how the glare of that reddish pinkish color shows up in the water up here. Anyways, that's how I edit my pictures. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave me a big fat thumbs up. Follow my Instagram page at Rudi Dueck Photography, or Photography Rudi Dueck. Either way, you'll find me there. With that being said, I'm out of here. Talk to you guys on the next one.
The summer's calling. The summer's calling. If the kingdom is overthrown, meet me at the cornerstone. I know that I can't be without you. This bond is solid gold. We're a diamond and an emerald.